Thank you to all our speakers who discussed different initiatives and different stakeholder interactions with stakeholders to look at marginalized heritage in across Tunisia, Algeria, and Morocco. Since we're running really against the clock and behind schedule, we have plenty of questions, but I'll take 3 questions, 2 to 3 questions from the audience. So the first question to all our speakers, maybe one of the speakers can answer this one from Asma Gharbi. Her question is to Aida, actually. What kind of actions and activities were deployed as part of Umitna program? Would it be possible to set up educational workshops in partnership with high schools for schools of architecture to make students lead in with real solutions? So Aida, could you answer this question?
Yes, thank you. I have written also something in the chat box. The Humitna is really in the process of beginning, so we are in discussion with the municipality of Ariana, and we have brought also the Living Lab or the Accelerator Lab of UNDP, which is also a sister UN agency here, to discuss with the municipality the best way to develop this Humitna initiative based on some events that will take place in some urban places like parks, like also souk, yani the municipal souk. We will try also to bring, if possible, of course, students, and we will discuss with the Université Leno, which is already a very good partner of UN Habitat in Tunisia. We are developing a project on living for dignity for the homeless with ENO and Concours d'Idées. So we will be really happy to bring into the discussion with the municipality, the students, of course. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll take second question from Bilal, which is of interest. What are the ways or any other speaker? So how can we persuade, how can we convince our stakeholders to invest and value cultural heritage?
Shall I pick on this? I personally don't know in terms of Morocco. I don't have the answer, but I know what we did as Archiam in Oman, in Misfat Al Abrin, which is an equally remote mountain oasis settlement, partially inhabited, but mostly deserted, which lay in a very bad state of dilapidation when we were asked by the Ministry of Tourism in 2014 to develop tourism development plan for them. And then luckily, after this, the government realized that it was time to involve private stakeholders. So they couldn't go forever thinking, the government I'm talking about, thinking that they could take entire oasis settlements, traditional settlements, and do them up, restore them entirely, but also disenfranchising the communities that used to live there. So what they did in Misfat is they basically gave Bank Muscat, which is one of the key financial institutions of the country, the opportunity and the possibility to finance, to fund the phase 1 implementation of our heritage and tourism development master plan for that village. So between, throughout 2019, while we were also doing the project in Morocco, Bank Muscat funded first they funded the design, which we developed. So the detailed design and development of 3 traditional houses into small places for business, for startups. So we rehabilitated the main access into the settlement, which is right these days, it's being fitted out to be an info point and a souvenir shop. And then we developed what used to be a traditional bakery into a place for sitting and eating, but also in our idea, it was meant to be a place to host workshops in traditional Omani bread making, and it's currently being again fitted out. And a small eatery, which is called Rogan Cafe, which opened last year towards the end of 2020, which is currently run by 3 local youth. So 3 young men from a neighboring village. They took this place, which we redeveloped, and they are now very successfully running it as a small restaurant. So I think the key was here possibly the realization from the government that it was time to involve other types of stakeholders. In this particular case, it happened to be a bank, which through their corporate social responsibility scheme entirely funded both the design and the actual construction, or the realization of the works. And then the second realization from the government was that only by developing heritage instead of museumifying it, would they be able to attract people back to these derelict villages, and at the same time give young people an opportunity to create their own jobs. So what is, I think, amazing here is that for the first time, there are young people in their early 20s running Omani people, so not expatriates, which is another important point, which in the Gulf has been the case up until now. So local Omani young people developing these entrepreneurship and taking initiative of starting these small-scale business activities, and therefore clearly generating revenue and income, which is not only theirs, doesn't only go into their pockets, but clearly gets redistributed back into the village. So now we have a sort of domino effect, which by the way needs to be anyway kept under control, whereby other traditional house owners, seeing how successful these small businesses are, obviously they start thinking about, okay, I could renovate my ancestor's house or my old house and turn it into a B&B and so on. So since we delivered our heritage management plan to the government back in, I think it was 2015-16, now there are 5 B&Bs, whereas at that time there was only 1, which has in itself also expanded and grown. And also satellite activities such as, for example, tour guiding, trekking for mainly for Western tourists, but everyone, of course, who wants to do that. Honey production, so there's a beekeeper who makes local honey, but also rose water made by the women and so on. So again, I don't have the answer for Morocco, but I have this very strong sort of case and best practice currently happening in Misfat, Al Abreen in Oman.
Thank you very much, Jamila. I think we'll take the last point from Naima because she raised her hand twice, and then we'll end because we have to move to our next session. Naima, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Majdi. I just wanted to rebound on what Dr. Jamila has said regarding Oman and regarding how to get people to invest in heritage. And I think that the time of expecting something that the government does everything has revolved. We have to empower the local community. We have to educate and raise awareness, which pretty much all of us are doing on the ground. And I think that by giving such empowerment to the local community, because coming from outside and developing a management plan and leaving it there without the real involvement of the local community would not work, even if there is investment. And for the case of Oman, Bank Muscat stepped in because the local community took this initiative. As early as 2005, I think one of the houses was restored. And because there is this follow-up and this growth, the other families are taking also in consideration their heritage. So education is really the first step, and raising awareness is also a very important part in the strategy. The government would follow later on. This is exactly what happens and what is happening in Oman. The local government and the federal government is following the local initiative. So I think the heritage belongs to people, and it is the people who are the first to be educated and put aware of its importance and helped for invest in it. Regarding the monetary investment, the United Nations, UNESCO, and all the international institutions besides the local institutions have some solutions in that. But the money does not solve, the academia would not solve, the consultancies would not solve if the local community is not aware and educated about the importance of this heritage.